Jude Law famously played the villainous Jan Rog in the MCU entry Captain Marvel. After his character's sort of ambiguous ending, there was speculation that he might return. However, Jude Law is downplaying those rumors.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post new vidcasts and consider becoming a channel member. So Captain Marvel premiered in 2019 in between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Now, the advertising for the movie made it seem like you had to go to see the Brie Larson-led superhero film to know what was going on in Avengers Endgame. That actually turned out not to be true. And spoiler alert, because there will be spoilers for Captain Marvel and probably for some of the Avengers movies. That deceptive marketing kind of put a bad taste in people's mouths. Also, for the unlikability of Brie Larson, who gave kind of a wooden performance. Although I think that some of the flaws in the movie were exaggerated, I do think it's not as good of some of the newer slate of Marvel superheroes, because Captain Marvel came out around the same time as Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Black Panther, and I just feel like she didn't fit in there. And of course, Brie Larson's attitude in interviews, where she came off as incredibly arrogant and rude, that weird YouTube channel face she did, really hurt the Marvels when it came out in theaters, the sequel to Captain Marvel. There's also rumors that behind the scenes, Brie Larson was very angry that it wasn't called Captain Marvel 2. All that aside, Jude Law starred alongside Brie Larson as Jan Rog. He played sort of her mentor in the Nova Corps and helped her. All that aside, in the comics, there have been a lot of characters named Captain Marvel. It's kind of confusing who is who and where do they fit in. Initially, I was actually excited when Carol Danvers, who is the secret identity of Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel originally, I kind of got excited when she was going to be the new Captain Marvel because I always liked that character. I always thought she was really cool. And of course, I got to know her in the 90s X-Men series where she makes an appearance, actually more than one appearance, I think. And then also she became a main character in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is a fantastic series. If you have Disney Plus, you should definitely watch that. They have a great Captain Marvel arc in that show. I was kind of not surprised that Jude Law said that he wasn't really keen on returning. Now, he has said this before recently that he wished that they had dug more into the character aside from the time that the character was already given. He wished that they had expanded more. He wanted to make the character more humorous. And recently he has reiterated this and has definitely said, despite his character's ending where he just sort of gets arrested, that he won't be returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is according to AOL. Earlier this year, Law shared his regret about starring in 2019's Captain Marvel alongside Brie Larson. While he reflects overall positively on his time working with the studio, calling it a really good experience, he has leveled that he would have liked more freedom with the role. Law told Variety, "I wish I'd been allowed to have a bit more fun with the part. I wanted him to be more arch. I wanted to lean into the humor more." He also pointed out an irony with the relentless amount of training they put actors through ahead of the film stunts. Those suits are hard to move in because they're thick rubber. You go to stunts camp for a couple of months when you're doing all these fight rehearsals and learning to do all this stuff, and then you put the suit on and you go, "Oh, I can't touch my toes. How am I going to do all this stuff with this thing on?" You can figure it out though. While the Marvel Cinematic Universe has now introduced the multiverse, a series of alternate worlds featuring characters all new, Law, who will now appear in the Star Wars universe, has categorically said his character won't be returning. The British actor said in a new interview, "I don't think there was much more they could get out of Jan Rog. That for me was the height of Marvel." If he thinks Captain Marvel was the height of Marvel, he hasn't seen very many Marvel movies. Anyway, I do find this very interesting that a lot of the stars, even sort of in the second and third generation of Marvel, so Marvel Phase 1, Phase 2, they all seem to kind of look back and are like, hey, we like the early years, but we don't really care for the stuff we did later. Scarlett Johansson famously sued Disney because of how they handled the release of Black Widow, poorly, I might add. Granted, there was a massive unlawful and unconstitutional house arrest going on around the time Black Widow came out, but still, you see how the tides are turning where even the actors are coming out. Now, Chris Evans and Samuel Jackson have been at the forefront of defending Marvel. Chris Evans famously said, I like how Captain America ended. I think that's a good ending for him. He fought two wars. He fought the World War II, and he fought the war against evil as an Avenger. And so yeah, he earned his right to retire. He's a man out of time, and he should have had that ability. And I kind of agree with that. And of course, Martin Scorsese, in an effort to stay, I don't know, relevant, has frequently criticized the MCU. Samuel Jackson defended the MCU against his criticism. Nowadays, I kind of feel like you can't really defend the MCU. It has definitely lost a lot of its luster as they incorporate more woke politics into the story. Disney has decided that they have to have stakeholder capitalism, which is just communism under a different name, where it's like, oh, yeah, it's not really just about making money on the films, and we also have to push social change in these movies. No, you don't. You just have to have a superhero fight a supervillain. That's all there is. It's not that complicated. But they want to make it complicated. They always want to insert things for the modern audience, which only exists on Tumblr, Mastodon, and I guess now Blue Skies. It's a very small segment of the population. Sure, they infiltrate fandoms all the time. We're certainly seeing this in the anime community, how these Western woke idiots want to put their sensibilities into these timeless classics. And it's having an effect, sadly, in Japan as well. We're seeing them put sort of these woke ideologies. Now, a lot of mangakai and anime directors are fighting back, and I hope they're successful because it's absolutely ridiculous. Stuff that was considered moral, yesterday is all of a sudden getting out where it's all about power dynamics and how it affects the community. And you can't be evil if you don't have power. That's all nonsense. That is stupid. We saw this with the Acolyte, right? Disney allowed Star Wars to be maligned by Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant, where the Jedi, who are supposed to be this force of good in the universe, they're supposed to be sort of a galactic police force to round up evil. All of a sudden, they're not as good as you thought they were because of how they handled certain things, because they're the ones in power, which I kind of think it was ironic because instead of using maybe like a Jedi who is conflicted about certain things, they used a Sith Lord, an orphan who was born in a group of evil witches, and another senator to complain about the Jedi within the Acolyte. It was really dumb. And now we're seeing this in Marvel as well, right? Where Hulk isn't as cool as his cousin She Hulk. His backstory, where his father murdered his mother. But no, it's a bigger deal that men are rude to her sometimes. Right? That's so stupid. It's lazy writing. It's creatively bankrupt and just shows how far Marvel has fallen. Now, I'm not saying Jude Law has that perspective. No doubt in his mind, he just sees the changing times. He understands because Jude Law, I don't know his politics. I've never read an interview with him where he talks about them. He probably leans left like, the majority of Hollywood, very out of touch with the rest of the world. But he's not criticizing Marvel over that. He just sees it as Marvel is going in a direction he doesn't want to go. And, that's what I mean there. I'm not trying to put that Jude Law as some non woke Hollywood hero. He certainly isn't. People like Joy Vila or Matthew Marsden, James Wood, Nick Searcy, they're really at the forefront of pushing back against the woke takeover of Hollywood. And there's a majority against them. I mean, they've all been blacklisted, right? You don't hear Joy Vila, getting any calls from major record companies. You don't hear the actors I mentioned getting called from major Hollywood studios. They're doing independent films, which is awesome, by the way. Good for them. But we have seen some actors depart. Dennis Quaid is opening up a movie studio in Texas. Mark Wahlberg is opening up a movie studio in Las Vegas. So there are people who are separating from the zeitgeist of New York and Los Angeles to create a new sort of film industry. And I hope they're successful in those endeavors because it is ridiculous. And it is ridiculous that Disney has allowed it to go that far. A once great all-American company that cared about good values and good family values has lost its way so much. And again, I'm not saying Jude Law thinks that. He's British. He's probably way more woke than a lot of the American celebrities that are around. But he at least has enough wherewithal to understand that, hey, maybe the MCU's time has passed. Maybe Endgame was really the finale, with Spider-Man Far From Home and No Way Home being sort of cool epilogues. But it does seem like Disney is allowing that star to fade. If you liked that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment, tell what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. Head on over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com. It's free and there are no ads. You can sign up with your email. You get the article of a day that I write. Sometimes I write more than one, but you at least get one article daily that is a review or some commentary about pop culture. If you want to support the channel, head on over to my locals community. The link is in the description of the video. You can sign up for a monthly subscription, or you can send my articles tips, and I have exclusive articles there just for my members. You can also pick up one or all of my novels. They're all available on Amazon.com. You can pick up Cacophony, A Tale of Faith and Fear, which is a supernatural thriller. You can pick up The Seven Royals, Book 1 and Book 2. We have All Good Things and Breaking the Stars. The third book is coming soon. It's about a group of your favorite fairy tale characters who have to defend their lands against a dark army. And Book 3 will round out the Dark Army trilogy. You can also check out my latest novella, Blessed Child. It follows an elf princess who is pregnant with a human child, causing strife in the kingdom. Her father, the king, hires a disgraced knight to protect her, and he's on the path to redemption, and the two of them form a friendship amidst all the chaos happening around them. It's about courage under fire, it's life affirming, and you can check it out. And best of all, if your children are 12 and over, they can read these books right along with you. There's enough depth for you as a parent to enjoy it, but also there's nothing gratuitous, so your child can read right along with you. So check them all out. Leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.